Somewhere in you, something is growing that you did not plant. You do not notice it while the days are full, when there is work to finish, when there is somewhere to be, when the next thing is already arriving before the last one has ended. You notice it in the pause, in the quiet after the screen goes dark, in the half second when you catch your own face in a window and something speaks, and the voice is yours, and the sentence is not one you would have chosen. You may believe you found this book. It is just as likely that it has been waiting for the season in which you would finally be tired enough to look at the ground. Some teachings do not arrive early. They arrive when you are ready to see what has been growing without you. As a man thinketh. There is a kind of tiredness that sleep does not fix. You know the one. You wake and it is already there, waiting. You have rested. Nothing is technically wrong, and still something in you is heavy before the day has started. You have been told what to do about this. Push harder, want it more. Wake earlier, plan better, discipline yourself into a different life. You have already tried that. That is why you are here. Listen carefully, because this is the part almost nobody says out loud. The tiredness is not coming from the effort. It is coming from something underneath the effort, running quietly the whole time, that you have never examined because you have never noticed it was running. You have been carrying it for years. You did not choose it. And it is doing more to shape your life than anything you have written on any list. Stay to the end, because the last idea is the one that changes how you see everything before it. Part 1. The Paradox. Begin with something that should not happen, but happens constantly. People reach the thing they were chasing and feel nothing, not immediately. There is a week, sometimes a month of relief, and then the old weight comes back, unchanged, wearing new clothes. You have watched this. You have probably lived a small version of it. This is not new, and it is not modern. The man who ruled the largest empire on earth spent his nights writing private notes to himself about how to survive the next morning. The wealthiest families of the Renaissance funded the most beautiful art in Europe and filled their letters with dread. Read the private writing of almost any century, and you find the same thing under the surface. The conditions changed. The person inside them did not. You were taught that your inner life is a result, that it comes second. First, the circumstances improve, then you feel different. Get the money, then feel safe. Get the love, then feel worthy. Get the number, then finally rest. If that were true, the people who got everything would be at peace. They are not. They never have been, not in any century. So the order is wrong, not the effort, not the wanting, the order. And once you see that the order is wrong, everything Alan wrote becomes obvious and slightly frightening. Part 2. The Garden. His first image is a garden. He asks you to picture your mind as a plot of ground, not a machine, not a computer. A garden, something living, something that responds to attention, something that will not stay still while you are busy elsewhere. You can tend it deliberately, or you can leave it alone, but you cannot leave it empty. Remember, nothing grows in an empty garden except what you did not choose. If you plant nothing, nothing does not happen. Weeds happen. Something always fills the ground. The only question, the only one, is whether anything growing there was chosen by you. Now look at your own ground honestly. There are sentences that run in you automatically. You did not write them. Most of them were planted before you were old enough to consent. By a parent, a teacher, a year that went badly, a room you were humiliated in once when you were 9. I am behind. I have to earn this. If I stop, it falls apart. They will find out. You do not experience these as beliefs. That is the whole problem. You experience them as facts about the world. They do not feel like something you are saying. They feel like something you are seeing. And they have been growing the entire time. Every year you did not tend the ground. They went deeper. They have root systems now. They are load-bearing. Some of the things you are proudest of were built on top of them, which is why pulling them up feels dangerous. This is where the tiredness comes from. You have been running your whole life on top of a garden you never planted, spending enormous energy managing what grew there by accident. Alan understood something that took psychology most of the following century to say in its own language. You do not see your life. You see your interpretation of your life. And the interpretation was planted, and it grew. And it is still growing tonight while you listen to this. That is not a metaphor. That is the mechanism. Part 3. In the Heart. The title comes from an old line. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Everyone quotes the front of that line. Almost nobody keeps the end of it. Not thinketh in his head, in his heart. Sit with that because it undoes most of what you have been told about this book. Alan is not talking about the thoughts you can hear. He is not talking about affirmations. He is not talking about the sentences you repeat in the mirror, or the goals you wrote in January, or the vision board, or the plan. Those are surface. Those are weather. He is talking about what you believe when nobody is performing for anybody. The assumptions so old and so quiet that you have stopped noticing you are holding them. This is why the affirmations did not work. You already know they did not work. You said the words. You said them with feeling. And underneath the words, unchanged, something older said, no. You cannot repair the heart from the head. Saying a sentence you do not believe, louder, does not make you believe it. It only teaches you that the sentence does not work. Nothing grows in an empty garden except what you did not choose. And nothing you plant on the surface reaches the roots. So what does reach them? Attention. Only attention. Not force, attention. The thing you look at repeatedly is the thing that grows, not the thing you shout at, not the thing you argue with, the thing you keep looking at. This is why the fear you fight all day gets stronger, and why the resentment you keep explaining to yourself keeps getting more detailed and more convincing. You have been watering them. You thought you were removing them. You were feeding them your attention every single day. Alan calls the mind a weaver. It works constantly, without being told, and it weaves two things at once. The inner garment, which is your character, and the outer garment, which is your circumstance. It never stops. It is weaving right now. The only real question is what thread you have been handing it. And that leads to the idea that most people get backwards, including almost everyone who quotes this book. Part 4. Circumstance reveals. Here is the line, and here is the word. Circumstance does not make the man. it reveals him to himself. You have heard the loud version of this idea. It is everywhere now, and it is always stated as a promise. Your thoughts create your reality, so think better thoughts and better things will arrive. That is not what the word says. Reveals is a much older and much quieter claim. It says the circumstance is not the point. The circumstance is the light. It shows you what was already growing in the ground, the thing you could not see while everything was going well. Think about the last time something in your life fell apart. The loss was not the information. The loss was the lamp. What you learned was not about the job, or the person, or the money. What you learned was what came out of you when the pressure arrived. What you reached for. What you said in the first 10 seconds. What you assumed, instantly and without checking, about what it meant about you. That was already in you. It was in you the whole time. The circumstance did not put it there. The circumstance turned the light on. And this is why two people lose the same thing in the same month and end up in different countries 3 years later. Not because one had better thoughts, because one of them looked at what got revealed, and the other looked away. The difference is small on any given day, so small it looks like nothing. Two people, the same setback. One responds with a slightly different question than the other. That is all. On a Tuesday it means nothing. But responses compound. 10 years of a slightly different question is not a slightly different life. It is an unrecognizable one. And from the outside, at the end, people will call it luck. You are not being punished by your circumstances. You are being shown something. That is a heavier idea than it sounds, and a kinder one. It does not ask you to blame yourself for what happened. It asks you to be present for what it is showing you. Most people are not. Most people spend the entire revelation explaining it. Part 5. The vision. There is one more idea, and it is the one I asked you to stay for. Alan writes that the temple exists before the first stone is laid. The builder sees it standing in an empty field. The field is empty. The temple is there. Everyone else sees dirt. You have been told to visualize what you want. Most of you have tried it, and it did nothing, and you quietly stopped. Here is why it did nothing. You were visualizing the thing. The house, the number, the outcome, the moment somebody finally says the sentence you have been waiting to hear. Alan is not describing that. He is describing something else entirely. He is describing the person, not what you will have, what you will be when it arrives. Not the object in your hands, but the one holding it. How they respond when it goes wrong, what they no longer need to prove, what they have stopped being afraid of. That is the temple. It is not the outcome. It is you. And this is where the whole book closes on itself. Because you cannot plant an outcome in a garden. Outcomes are not seeds, but a character is. A response is. A question you ask yourself first, before the old sentence gets there. That is a seed, and it grows, and it is the only kind that ever has. Nothing grows in an empty garden except what you did not choose. You have been carrying something you did not plant. That is not your fault. But you are the only person who will ever stand in that ground. Part 6. One thing. I am not going to give you a system. Alan did not, and he was right not to. I am going to give you one thing, and it takes no time at all. Tomorrow, once, only once, catch one sentence you say to yourself automatically. Not the big ones. The small, automatic ones. The thing you say when you look at your inbox. The thing you say when you catch yourself in a window. The thing you say in the half second after someone does not reply. Catch it. Say it back to yourself slowly. Then do nothing. Do not fix it. Do not argue with it. Do not replace it with a better sentence. That is the head talking to the heart again, and you already know how that ends. Just look at it. That is the entire practice. It is the only thing that reaches the roots, and it costs you nothing, and almost nobody will do it. The book is 30 pages. It is free. It has been in the public domain for decades, and the link is below. It takes an hour. I would rather you read it than listen to me describe it. That is the point of this channel, and I will say it in every video. But if you want someone to sit with these books slowly, out loud, in the evening, that is what this is.